Cool. So Luke Maas,
Yes.
how you doing?
I'm doing good, man.
Good?
How are you?
Good. I'm good. It's having a good day. Well, first and foremost, I kind of wanted to get like a background of you. Like, where did you come from? Just like let people know what you're into, what your childhood looked like,
Yeah.
and what kind of family you come from.
Yeah. So, there's two ways this could go. Like, do you want the 10-minute answer or do you want like the
Go as long as
2-minute
you want,
answer?
dude.
Okay. So, basically, I was born in Peoria, Illinois, currently in Nashville, Tennessee. And so I was born there, grew up like super poor. Like parents didn't have like diapers for me, like really poor. And then my dad actually got a job, so we moved to a small town in Illinois right by Iowa. And I pretty much grew up there until I was 6 years old. So I spent like the first 5 years of my life there. Classic childhood. Like I had a brother, we were young, we'd play outside, things like that. And then when I was 6, my parents got divorced, and that was really tough for me. I don't really remember it, but I know that like from what my parents told me that was a really tough time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like that affected me for like a year after.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that probably has damn, we're already getting into it. I know that already has an impact on that probably has an impact on who I am today.
Oh, of course.
But I just don't realize it.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, parents got divorced. My mom actually moved to Chicago and I chose to move in with her. So I actually moved to Chicago when I was 6. I lived there for about 2 years. And yeah, I mean, we lived in the city, place called Lincoln Square, and yeah, it was a really nice time because it was in a neighborhood where like, I could hang out with friends and like you were just outside all day and then you came in when dinner was ready or when the street lights go on.
Did your brother move to Chicago too? Or?
No.
Oh, okay, so it was just you and your mom in Chicago.
Yeah, that's right.
How old were you?
I was 6 at the time.
Wow, you were 6.
Yeah, and
that's a big like life change.
I know, it really was because I mean, living in a small town your whole life and then going to like Chicago, which is one of the biggest cities in the world.
Yeah.
Is a big change.
Oh yeah.
Especially like as a kid,
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to like grow up in that, and then it's another thing to like have that dynamic switch so fast.
Yeah. So what was living in Chicago like? Like I'm sure like you were 6 years old. You probably remember more of Chicago than you do beforehand, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So what was like living in Chicago like as a kid?
I think that it was a very fun but also interesting time. So I lived there only for 2 years, but you get the big city feel like, when you go on the train and when you're in the city downtown.
Yeah.
But when I remember being at school, like it wasn't that much different at school because I mean, you kind of have your own clique and your own group. You don't really have, a big city feel like when you're at school, you have 20 people in your class just like it is in a small town.
Yeah.
So I remember school being pretty similar. But it was just like, yeah, different. Like going to bed with the sound of like car horns and police sirens,
Yeah.
stuff like that. It was interesting, that part of it. But yeah, I mean, there's not too much to say on that, honestly.
So where did you go to high school?
So I went to high school in a couple places. So basically after the divorce, moved back to that small town with my dad. I grew up until my sophomore year of high school. And my sophomore year was in this small town. And it was because my dad got a new job, and that's why we moved to another place called Springfield, Illinois. And moved there just because of the job, and I really didn't want to leave because I had already moved when I was 6, and then I got this whole friend group that I had in that small town.
That's hard for a kid too.
Yeah, no, it was. I remember like getting sat down and like getting told and just like crying because I like all my friends that I knew, I like knew that wasn't gonna be, they weren't gonna be part of like my life anymore, you know? And that was a bit of an overreaction at the time because they still are. Like I'm meeting up with one of my friends from high school like today. Because he's in Tennessee. So yeah, that's what it was like. And then I moved to Springfield, Illinois. I spent 2 years there. So my junior and senior year, and God, I literally like when I moved there, probably a few months after, started working out, going to the gym, and got into like business and entrepreneurship. Before that, like the person I am now is so different than it was like
I bet.
3 years ago?
Yeah.
Because like I was just a kid, like I was just like living life, like doing school, like that was it. All you had was like school and play. And then once I turned like 15, 16, that's when I got into entrepreneurship. That's when I got into like going to the gym and really like becoming a man, you know?
So when did you move to Nashville?
So I've been here for about a year. I moved here when I was 18, literally the week after. So I turned 18 May 11th, May 19th, my graduation. And then literally the end of May, I moved to Nashville. So it was big switch.
Did you know for like a time, like how long before you moved, did you know you were going to move? Like, was it just like a sudden thing, or was it, because for me, it was a sudden thing. Like I didn't really know like I was going to move to Nashville until I got this internship accepted. And then I was like, I want to do it in Nashville. And then they were like, yeah, we've got some mentors in Nashville. And then like literally 2 weeks later, like within 2 weeks, like we found an apartment and I was like moved. Like literally like I had no idea I was moving until like 2 weeks beforehand. Was it like a quick thing, or was it like,
you know, I honestly feel like it has to be like that.
Yeah. Especially when you're like just got out of high school type, you know?
Yeah. When
that situation.
Yeah. Especially when you know, you grow up in one place for your whole life. And then you have so many different places to move to.
Yeah.
Like I literally could have moved anywhere, like anywhere. Like obviously it probably would have been in the US regardless, but I mean 50 states to choose from. Hundreds of thousands of cities you could move to. And yeah, it was pretty sudden. I mean 6 months before I graduated, I already knew I didn't want to be in Springfield. Oh yeah. Springfield is a place where it's, you know, it's a medium-sized town. Everybody that works there is either in healthcare or works for the Illinois state government. So that's not what I wanted to do. Right. People are moving out of Illinois. There's no growth there. Yeah. It's pretty stagnant. Yeah. So I knew I wanted to move out, and honestly, dude, Nashville became the spot. Like there were a few options. I wanted to move somewhere that was growing, had good macroeconomic factors such as like jobs are moving here. People are moving here. A lot of money is moving here. So I wanted to, since I'm in real estate, I wanted to be somewhere where it's growing and and there's opportunity. Yeah, definitely. So
yeah, could have been was in the spot.
That was not the spot, but yes, Nashville became the spot. So
yeah, that's good. How did you get into real estate specifically? Was anyone you knew in real estate before you got into it?
You know what? It's this. Like me finding out what I wanted to do was a little bit foggy for me. But I remember, I think I started watching like YouTube videos on real estate investing. No, you know what it was?
What was it?
TikTok.
TikTok. It's crazy
It was
how that
TikTok.
works.
And that's the thing. Like, people hate on having TikTok, and I deleted it. I don't have it
I don't
anymore.
really use it for real, but
Yeah.
I use it actually only for music purposes. Like
Really?
like from pulling samples from like, TikTok.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying is
Yeah.
like, people hate on social media a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but
It's a useful tool.
dude, I don't know. I know for me, and I mean for you too, like, we wouldn't be where we were if it weren't for TikTok.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what? You know, like, that's how I feel. Because there was this dude on TikTok saying, "Hey, you gotta get into real estate. You gotta get into real estate." I still remember his name is Real King Khan, and he does wholesaling.
Wow.
He got me into real estate. Sort of interested in it. Like, it wasn't even the type of real estate,
Yeah.
but he got me interested in it, and I started. I remember, like, around that same time, in school, they force you to job shadow somebody. So it was like, by this date you have to go and job shadow somebody. And they had us take
In real estate school?
No, like, just
Like in high school?
in high school. Oh
Really?
yeah, in high school.
Dang, we didn't have to job shadow anybody.
Yeah.
That's cool though.
No, it is cool. Like,
Yeah,
I think
that's
everybody
really
should
cool.
do that.
Yeah,
I think everybody should do that. The
Yeah.
fact that we go to school and we don't, like, get taught about what we're gonna do after school,
Right,
which is
yeah.
the most important thing.
Uh-huh.
And, like, the fact that we're just learning about, like, how to do math, how to write.
Yeah, and there's no context to any of it. That's
Exactly.
what's crazy.
Exactly. And I think
Yeah.
that
Education system's broken.
I agree. I totally agree.
Uh-huh.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I really think it's broken, and I think that somebody like me or you is going to be the people that change it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely a rise in our generation of, like, we're becoming aware of things like that. Just in society. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like beforehand, you said you don't get into politics, but that's a political issue for sure. You
No,
know what
it
I'm saying?
is.
It's a big one too.
Yeah.
Because it affects, the next generations to come, and we want to be, the best we can as a human civilization, and that's what politics is all about. It's about power, but also about, like, what's good for the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. But so
Wait, can I say something on that?
yeah. Go ahead.
As much as I hate that politics are involved with anything, as I mature, I'm starting to realize that it's a necessary evil almost. Maybe evil's the wrong word. But the fact that the state of where it's at now and how it can consume people's lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because people get too riled up about it.
Yeah.
They get too emotional about it, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
Because that's what creates the divide,
Exactly. Yeah.
Which, we kind of have to, I don't know. I feel like society needs to learn how to be more compassionate. And that is also where I think God comes into play, which is a whole nother conversation. But
I'm down to talk about it, bro.
Yeah. But I want to get back on track with how you got into real estate, because I think this is a really cool thing about you. Like, you're 18 years old and you're a real estate agent
Just for
selling
19,
houses. And
but yeah.
You just turned 19.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
But you're selling houses, and regardless, you're not even 20 years old.
I have a closing later today in like
which is
5
crazy.
hours. Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
And you have a job at one of the highest rated restaurants in downtown Nashville area
Yeah.
as a server, which is crazy in itself. You know what I'm saying? To be 19 years old and be doing that, but to also be doing real estate and to, like, be making large business deals for a 19-year-old is like crazy to me. So, like, I just want to know more about that. Like I guess we already talked about how you got into it, but what was real estate school like? Like in Tennessee, what was real estate school like?
So I think it's a lot different than people think it is. And I think it's a lot harder in some ways and easier in some ways to get your license. So basically the whole real estate school, I don't really think of it as a school. You have to take a course that's 90 hours long, which is a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, you take a test, and then
The state exam, is that what it's called?
so there's 2 exams. So
Okay.
it's split up into 2 things. So you have a 60-hour pre-licensing national portion, and then you have a 30 hours of state portion. It's kind of BS because the national and the state are pretty much the same thing, like in the course. Like, I remember when I was taking the course, some of the national lessons were just copy and pasted to the state lessons.
Wow.
Like,
wow.
And I remember taking the test, and there was almost I think that a lot of people think that there's like a lot of nuance between like, oh, in this state you can do this, and in this state you can't do that. Like, it's really not that different.
Yeah, and so I just started taking like real estate school. I just started it in Florida because that's one of the things that I'm interested in doing while I'm down there.
Yeah.
But it was like you can get your real estate license in one state, and then I think I read something that was like it's pretty easy to, like, once you get your real estate license in one state, to get it in another state, because it's like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, do we gotta?
No, that wasn't it.
Okay.
We got time. We got it. Sorry. I should have turned my phone off, but we had to do the timer.
No, you're good. Yeah, just let me know when that timer goes off so we can.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes.
Okay, cool.
So what that's called reciprocity.
Okay.
The reciprocity agreement or something like that. So in some states have reciprocity agreements with other states. So Tennessee isn't that. So like me having my license in Tennessee, I can't go like easily get my license in like Illinois, for example. But I'm pretty sure Florida is one of those states, and that's might be why you like came across this, where if you get your license there, you only have to do like a 30-hour course and like a small exam to get your license in another state.
Yeah. I read something about that, which is cool. Like, yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
But after you passed your exam, like, what did that look like? What happened after you passed your exam?
Yeah. So I remember, I think it was all really fast. Like, it was in such a short amount of time. So I graduated on the 19th, took my exam on the 20th. And then the first time I actually failed the state exam. So it's a lot different. Like, the test is like pretty hard.
Yeah.
Because you have to study like a lot of so much volume of stuff. Like, I bet you know, the state exam probably has 30 questions on it, but they're probably picking from a list of like 5,000 questions and then just picking 30 random ones and putting it on the test. So it's like there's so much
information
content that you need
know.
to know.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it the first time I took it. Like, of course I took practice tests, but what I really needed to do was like take every Quizlet that's out there, take every practice test that's out there. The course really didn't help too much, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. It's more about like honestly memorization. And honestly, like after you take the test, a lot of the stuff that you learn in it, you won't even use.
Just
probably
like
1%. Just like school. Exactly like school. Like basically this, okay. Passing the exam is basically like proving you're not stupid and you're smart enough to probably learn how to do real estate.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the same thing with school. Like if you get your diploma, it's like, yeah, you're smart enough to like
get
do
like
other
a random job.
Yeah. You're smart enough to work at the McDonald's, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it was like. Or like you're smart enough to go to college, but
isn't there like post licensing work that you have to do though? Like, isn't there like stuff like that you have to do after you get your license?
Not education wise, but but yeah. So once you join a brokerage, there's a lot of like administrative stuff to do.
Yeah.
So you have to join an association. You have to join a brokerage. So first, it's like you join the brokerage, and then you have to join an association. You have to join an MLS. You have to join another association, and you have to get your fingerprints done. There's a lot of fees. I probably spent like $3,000.
Whoa.
Just to get in real estate.
Wow, that's crazy.
And another thing is like, it costs a lot to keep your license at a brokerage. So for example, like I spend like $250 a month just to have my license.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
a lot of,
crazy.
yeah, and that's like even in independent brokerages, like I'm with a team, so it's higher. But like there's teams in Nashville, not teams, but there's like independent brokerages where like you're kind of by yourself. The lowest it gets really is like $200 a month.
Wow.
To keep your license. So that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize when they get into it. I sure as hell didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know that it was gonna be like a monthly expense for that.
But like, so you got to be making sales to balance that out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, is it like, I mean, it's got to be paying for itself. Like,
so here's the thing.
Yeah.
90% of real estate agents fail within their first year.
Yeah.
90%. So that means so my broker did this. We had this thing called the boot camp, which is just like training and onboarding. There were 10 people in our boot camp. And he told us straight up, he was like, in a year, only one of you is going to be here at this team.
Yeah.
Everyone else is going to quit. And that's because it's hard to get started. I made money my first year. Most people like lose money.
Yeah.
But it's like, most people like really don't make money or lose money their first year just because of all the fees and everything. So a lot of people will just like quit.
Wow.
But now that I'm past that year mark, like some of the work that I did in the first year is starting to pay off.
Yeah.
And also like, honestly, it takes you a year to like figure out what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because
I bet.
Let's say you're, get a new job, you're getting a salary and they're probably training you for your first 6 months. And if they're not training you, you probably went to college for it, and college trained you for 4 years on what you're doing. So when you get into real estate, you're independent. You only get paid when you sell a house.
Right.
But you still have to like get trained at the same time. So the first year, like a lot of people won't make it just purely because of finances and because they can't see the vision of where they're going to go if they stick with it.
So why do you think you made money in their first year as opposed to losing money like most people?
Lucky.
You were lucky? You don't think you have any sort of charm or talent?
No. I think that maybe I shouldn't say lucky.
Yeah. There's definitely skill involved.
Yeah, there's definitely skill involved. But it really comes down to a few small things that, I mean, I would give you as advice. Okay. If I would have moved here by myself and like, cause my parents still live here in Nashville. So my mom and my stepdad live here. I don't know anybody else, but my mom and my stepdad live here. If they didn't live here and I would have joined an independent brokerage where like I'm not on a team, I would have lost probably $15,000 this year and not made anything. Yeah.
But you're with a team.
So first of all, be with a team.
Yeah. Keller Williams is like where I'm going through.
Yeah. So as long as you're with a team that provides you with leads and high quality leads, by the way, and you're in a place where you have like people that you know. So it's good for you because you're moving to a place where you have family, right?
Yeah.
One of them's probably going to sell a house or buy a house in the first year, hopefully.
Yeah, I think my parents actually will.
Exactly.
Because they actually don't need, they are saying that they don't need like the house that they bought recently, which was actually in 2023. But yeah, they want to like downsize a little bit. So yeah. They'll probably sell their house within like a year or two.
Yeah, and you know how much you'll make on that probably?
I don't know.
Depending on the
I
team
can do that? I can sell a house for my family?
Yeah.
Oh. Huh. But yeah,
you'll probably make. Do you know how much their house is worth or no?
I don't know, like 400.
400?
Yeah.
So you'll probably make 10 grand.
Really?
Depending on what team you join.
Yeah.
You'll probably make 10 grand. So I mean that's gonna keep you fine for a few months, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the two pieces of like two things that probably help me. If you're not on a team and you just want to go independent and you move to a new place, get into some sort of like coaching program where they're going to teach you how to make money, because otherwise you're screwed.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of like extra studying that you have to do, especially if you want to be like successful in your first year. But one question that I had was that do you have to have a real estate license to like be, so what's the difference between a real estate, I don't know, like broker associate and like an investor?
Yeah. So I have friends that are like, I have this one friend, he's a real estate agent.
Yeah.
He's a wholesaler. He does creative.
What is wholesaling? I meant to ask that question earlier.
Yeah. Here, I'll get to that.
Yeah.
So he does traditional real estate, wholesaling, creative finance, and real estate development and investing. So he does 5 different things and he has a license.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some people I know that just do traditional, like just sell real estate, which is kind of what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I'll tell you what wholesaling is. So wholesaling is, you basically are a deal finder. So, for example, let's say I find a property that I think I can get under contract for below market value. So let's say I find a fixer-upper and the seller is like, we just want to get rid of the house. Let's say it's worth $300,000. You can put in an offer for like $220,000, and if they take it, then you're under contract on that house. What you can do is you can find an investor who would want to buy that house and basically assign the deal to them and then split the difference. Mm-hmm. So let me go through the numbers real quick.
Okay. Yeah, where were we?
Okay, so I'll walk through the numbers real quick. So I get the property under contract for $220,000. I basically sell the contract to an investor for $15,000. So basically the investor would be buying the property for $235,000. I got it under contract for $220,000 and I make the $15,000.
Really?
Yeah.
So why would an investor pay that?
Yeah. So investors, a lot of the time, they have more money than they do time. So they don't have time to look for these deals. So what you do as a wholesaler is you find these deals for investors that have money but no time. So here's like the value exchange. A wholesaler has time but no money. A investor has money but no time.
Mm-hmm.
So the wholesaler can provide value to that investor. So what the wholesaler will do is they'll go out and they'll find a deal and then basically bring the deal to the investor, and they basically pay them for finding the deal.
Okay.
That's
that makes
kind
sense.
of like how it works.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So like I know people have asked me to like work for them and wholesale for them.
So if you're a real estate investor, you don't need a real estate license.
No.
But you will pay a lot of extra money because you have it for other people to sell real estate for you.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
There are people, honestly, most investors that I know don't have their license.
Yeah.
So if
they're wealthy though from other ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people are wealthy not from real estate. For example, do you know who Grant Cardone is?
No, I don't.
Okay, Grant Cardone is a billionaire, and he basically made all his money on like businesses, and then invests in real estate now.
Because the real estate investing is like the next step you take when you want to grow more wealth after you already have the wealth to invest in real estate initially. Like,
yeah.
Is that, yeah.
And it's so much less risky because when you're in a business,
exactly.
When you're in a business, if something happens, you're screwed and your business is over. But let's say you for example, sell your business
Right.
for a few $1 million. Or, I mean, let's say you sell a business for $50 million, like, and you're kind of like, oh, I don't want to mess with running a business again. Then you can just like go invest in real estate, and it's just like safer. And depending on the deal, you can make a lot of money, and
Why is
you
it
can kind of
safer?
turn it into a business.
Why is it safer to invest in real estate than to like run a business, especially if you've already run a successful business before?
Yeah. It's less influenced by economic factors. So in real estate, if you look at the home values in the United States, there have been maybe 5 or 6 years where homes went down in value. Every single other year, homes either went up or stayed stagnant. So basically the amount of that a home appreciates per year is between 4.5% and 6%. That's the average.
But what about inflation?
So inflation, it's on average, you're going to get 1.1% in appreciation. But if you're investing, that's a whole nother conversation.
Right, because like I was wondering, like I could just put my money in like a high yield savings account that yields 4%.
Yeah.
Like get way more.
Yeah. No, you could. And honestly, like, I don't think I'm going to invest in real estate, just because if you want to be a real estate investor, like, that kind of has to be your job, because it takes a lot of time to like find deals, walk through properties, underwrite the deal, which means basically like seeing if it's going to work or not, and then negotiating the contracts,
That's the part
buying the
I was
property.
gonna think. Like I was thinking, like if you're a good negotiator and you can get like more, you can make sales that you know are bigger than, you know, you could sell the house for I don't know.
I know what you're saying. Like,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, like if you're a good negotiator and like somebody doesn't know the value of their property, you could like
You
buy,
could upsell them on it.
Yeah, like you could buy their property for like 200,000 and then turn around and sell the next day for 500,000.
Right.
But
But that probably doesn't happen.
that doesn't happen often. No.
Yeah.
But it does happen.
Yeah. I just wonder how because it seems like there's so many people who have really like struck gold with real estate investing, or just real estate like in general, like real estate services or real estate, you know, owning real estate and you know, renting it. Or it seems like there's a lot of people who have become very wealthy from it, and I wonder like how does that happen?
Yeah.
Because
I mean, it's the number.
They make these YouTube videos trying to like, you know, explain it in simple terms, but like I know there's so much more to it than you know, goes deeper than the music or the YouTube video rather.
Yeah. It's because there's so many different strategies you can use to make money in real estate. And it's I mean, everybody has to live somewhere. Everybody has to live somewhere.
Yeah.
And there's 8-9 billion people in this world. Like, real estate is the one thing that it's the biggest. It's not really. It's probably the biggest industry in the world.
Yeah,
like
it has to be.
real estate and food.
Yeah.
And water, like the basic needs, like food, shelter, water.
Yeah.
Are the biggest needs. So if somebody has a need, then somebody can provide that need, you know? So like you can develop real estate, you can I'm going to just quickly go over like some strategies. So like you can develop real estate and then
We're good.
We're good.
Sorry.
Okay.
I was
No,
just
you're
making
good.
sure.
You're good. You can develop real estate and then either sell it right away or hold it and just rent it out. You can wholesale real estate, so you can find deals for investors, and there's so many different types of strategies. So you can take over a loan sub 2. You can take over. You can do a seller finance deal. You can do a wraparound mortgage. you can just sell real estate, be a real estate broker. You can crowd fund money and then buy properties that are already cash flowing, and make money on that. And you can buy multifamily units. Like it's an endless list of things you can do. Also, the number one wealth builder in the U.S. is just owning a home. Like the average American just buying a home and then living in it for like 40 years or 20 years. I mean, think about it. Like if your home is appreciating 4.6% to 6% every single year, I've done the math on this. If you buy a home in Nashville for $500,000, which is the median sold price,
it's going to be worth so
every
much more.
single year.
But it's going to grow a lot more in Nashville than it will anywhere else.
Exactly. So using the 4.5%, or I think I used 5%, just to like make the average, you are making $40,000 a year in appreciation from just owning the house.
Yeah.
What other thing can you just buy and own it and you make 40 grand right away?
Yeah.
Something that like reliable, you know? So I think it's a good industry to get in. I think it's overhyped and there's so many misconceptions about it.
Yeah.
But what thing doesn't have misconceptions? What thing doesn't?
Yeah, and I think that because it's one of those basic needs that it's important to understand it. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like if you're gonna own a home anytime in your life, you should probably understand like the foundational aspects of real estate, you know?
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
I don't know. That's just my opinion. But I had a question that actually popped in my mind.
Yeah.
Because like I know that Donald Trump is like a huge real estate guy, and I wanted to know, like, from a real estate perspective, what is your opinion on him?
From a real estate perspective,
yeah.
I think that he's successful and very successful.
He's got to be like he's a
billionaire.
Yeah.
From real estate. He's a billionaire from real estate, not from anything else. So my understanding of his story is that his dad was a big real estate mogul and he kind of like took over his business and just like scaled it. So I think as a business person, I think he's extremely smart as a person to be able to like influence the entire country to vote for you. You're not going to be a dumbass. Like you're going to be smart. And to be able to become a billionaire, I don't care where your parents came from. Within 3 years, most generational wealth is wiped out. So you have to be smart to take over your dad's business. And so I think he's really smart and I think he's a really good business person. Although it's not like I have heard, I know these are true stories because there's other very successful people that have said this. Like, you know, Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank? The old lady?
Vaguely.
Okay. So she, the reason she's rich is because she has a real estate company. Before they were both like famous and they were both just doing business, Donald Trump had this real estate development and had Barbara from Shark Tank sell all of the units. She sold all the units and never got paid for any of it. And she tried to sue him, but since he had so much money for lawyers, she couldn't sue him. She had nothing against him. So probably had some faulty business practices, probably isn't like ethically a great guy in business wise. But he's smart and he's successful. That's what I have to say. Yeah. And I think that he has done a good job in terms of like building businesses and creating wealth. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of people that are rich that just don't say what they think and just kind of keep it hidden, and those people are just as bad as him. You know? Yeah.
So I guess moving forward from that, like, what is your vision for yourself and like real estate?
Yeah, I don't know if it's always going to be real estate, honestly.
Okay. Do you have like an ultimate vision?
I have an ultimate vision, and I love talking about it. I love talking about this stuff.
Of course, yeah.
Man, some people make fun of me for always asking people about their goals because I feel like I don't know. I love talking about my goals, and I love hearing about other people's goals, and I just love talking about goals, vision. Where do you want to go in life? You know. So my ultimate vision is to basically have all the areas of my life optimized. So for me, that's health, wealth, love, and happiness. Those are the 4 areas of life that I just kind of want to completely optimize. And I think that that's in order. So I think health is the most important. I think wealth is necessary to provide for your family, which is love. And if you have those 3 things, happiness will come easy. As long as you are philosophically intact.
What does that mean to you? Do you read philosophy?
I don't read philosophy, but I listen to a lot of people that do read philosophy, if that makes sense. So people like Naval Ravikant, people like Alex Hermosi. I'm not sure if you know those people, but
yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah, so those are 2 people that I like to, or there's this guy called Chris Williamson. He has a podcast called Modern Wisdom, and those are 3 people that are very involved in philosophy, but also have like a business mind as well. And they kind of like take what they've learned from business, take what they've learned from philosophy, and they kind of like make content about that. So I don't say I read like Socrates or Aristotle in my free time, but I do watch people that are very philosophical, because philosophy isn't Aristotle and Socrates and Plato and what they wrote. Philosophy is thinking about the big questions in life.
Right. But there's a reason I feel like that those philosophers are still read today. Like there's a reason. There's a lot of like, I guess like universal truths that they spoke, like especially like Aristotle, that I think you can only really like digest and like interpret from reading Aristotle himself. You know what I'm saying? Because like if not, then it's kind of put through the lens of other people who are interpreting it in their own way. You know what I'm saying? Like people who have read who have read Socrates and Aristotle, who are talking about what they have read from those writers, but they're kind of, you know, unconsciously and subconsciously speaking through their own filter about what they read. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
So I don't know. I think it's important to really read those and think for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Because that's one thing that I struggled with a lot. I would say when I was your age, like, even though we're not that far apart in age, but like, I think we have similar minds and like similar like ways of thinking.
I agree.
And one thing that I have learned in like the 3 years that I've been in Nashville is that it's really important for me to think for myself instead of looking to other people to, I guess, give me wisdom. You know what I'm saying? I want to not build my own truth, but seek truth in like an objective manner instead of seeking it in the world and other people.
Yeah.
You know?
I've struggled with that a lot. Personally.
Yeah, and it's one thing that I think has brought me like a profound sense of peace too. Like 3 years ago, I didn't believe in Jesus. I didn't believe, you know, in the Bible. I didn't believe really like a lot of these like universal truths. Like I was more of a moral relativist than anything.
Yeah.
And the fact that I don't know what it was. Well, I do know what it was. I will tell you, like, literally just saying the name of Jesus was one thing that even though I didn't believe it, like I would just, say thank you, Jesus, even though I didn't believe anything was going to come from it, from just saying that when little like wins would come up in life. Because me and my brother would talk about this all the time. We would be on FaceTime and we'd be like, talking about philosophers and just like truth and just like truth seeking, because my brother thinks like we do. But he's always kind of been like a believer in Christ. And so I started reading the Bible slowly, not believing it. I started going to this Bible study that one of my music friends actually invited me to when we were having a conversation like this. And I was like, dude, I just can't get around to believing that. And he was like, you know what? I think you would really like this Bible study. And shout out Nate Fugazi, by the way. He was like, I think you would really like this Bible study. Like, it's on Tuesday nights. Like, you should just come and check it out. And so I did. And after a while of going to that, like, there was so much in like, I thought I understood the Bible without like reading the whole thing. Like a lot of people do. You know what I'm saying? And then I started really diving into it and I'm like, wow, like there are so many truths in this, it's really a library of books because it's not just one book. It's a library of books throughout a period of thousands of years that were written by many, many different people. But it was so profound and real to me how it just hit my heart. You know what I'm saying? Like I was convicted so many times as I was reading the Bible, and I don't know, it changed my life. Like it really put me on a path to true success, which is like really just deepening faith and becoming more trusting of what is higher than you. Because when I was your age, I was worshiping myself. And I don't mean to go on this tangent, but like... No,
go ahead.
Yeah, I just... We talk about goals and we talk about success, but like, what does that really mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, what does that really mean eternally? Like, because if we're talking about success in this world, like you can get all the money you want, but you're not going to be happy. You can have, all the family and all the children you want. You're not going to be happy. Like, because those things will be taken away from you one day, and you're going to have to deal with that. You're going to have to know still, even though everything, like the book of Job, I'm reading the book of Job right now, everything was taken away from him, his whole family, his health, like, and it was because God basically made a deal with the devil and said, you can do whatever you want to this man, but you just can't kill him. And so the devil just took over his life and ruined everything for him. But Job didn't curse God. And then eventually God took the devil out of his life and gave him true happiness. And that's how I interpret the ending of the book. Like, the book has no like definitive ending because it's kind of like an obscure ending. But that book, it's just really eye-opening to see like how when you really put your faith in something that's higher than you, you have success forever, if that makes sense. Like, when you really deny yourself and give up everything that you're attached to in this world, you have true success. Which, like, dude, I just went on a whole tangent there, but
no, that's great.
And I'd like to hear what you think about that.
Yeah. There's so many thoughts that are going through my brain right now.
We're good.
Yeah, that's a lot to like. I don't know. Religion is such a large, like, I think a lot of people think that, like, and this may be true, like, people who aren't religious are, I don't know how to explain that, but here, I'll just give you like my thoughts. So the first thing you brought up was like philosophy, and I want to talk about that first, and then we can move on to religion. So you were talking about how philosophy, like, you have to kind of read from the source.
Yeah.
And you have to take things through your own lens in order to, like, truly understand it. I don't. Here's my opinion on that, and I've struggled with this because I think it's something that, like, you totally could be right and I totally could be wrong, but also I could be totally right, you could be totally wrong. I take the same approach when it comes to a lot of things in life. So philosophy, business. No, I wouldn't say business, but philosophy and, like, economics. So let me draw an analogy. And this is why I don't directly read philosophy and I take it from other people. In the economy, you're gonna see the GDP, you're gonna see unemployment rates, you're gonna see home appreciation, you're gonna see this, how stocks are doing. You're gonna see all this data, and I don't have the understanding to interpret that data.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have the experience to interpret that data.
Yeah. But does anybody?
So that's the thing.
To fully interpret?
Maybe nobody does to fully interpret that data. Nobody knows what's going to happen. But I do know that they know more than me. And if I read multiple different people, their combined opinion are probably going to be more accurate than if I were to just look at those numbers and guess. You know what I mean? Because they've studied, economics in the past of what, economics are, right? Now, when it comes to philosophy, I have the same approach to where there's so much context and history that goes into those writings, and I don't understand the history and the context of those writings. I think that would take a long time to understand, and the people that I listen to are people that have looked into that. The people that are people that have understood the context of what that means and also have life experiences to understand that information with. And if I were to just look at it, I think that I would have a different understanding of what it means. And you can say that as, like, that's me thinking for myself, but I kind of think of it as I think of it differently. I think that I may, not I don't think that I would truly understand it as much as I would if I heard it from somebody else, because those are people that have more experience in life, that are older than me, wiser than me, and I can recognize that, and they can, take what they learned in philosophy and then put their own life experiences, like, on that to help me understand that concept as well. And I'm going to draw one more analogy, and then you can give your thoughts.
Yeah.
With politics, this is another thing. Like, a lot of people will say, like, talk about an issue. Now, we don't have to get into abortion, but I'm going to use the example. I have gone, like, actually, I probably shouldn't say this. I won't say, like, my opinion on it because it's going to offend people, right? But
what is your opinion?
Well,
because, like,
I'll just say this. I have gone back and forth so many times on this. Every single time I have a conversation with somebody, I, like, sort of switch sides.
Really?
Yes. So at first I was, like, on one side, and then I had a deep conversation with somebody. Right. And then I switched sides. Deep conversation with another person, switch sides, saw this piece of data, saw this video. Switch sides. So my conclusion from that concept is that if you are going to, the more information you get, you are going to change your mind. We don't know all the information about abortion. There's going to be more information that comes out. There's going to be new perspectives that come out. There's going to be new understandings. And I think that it's just hard to like take such a complex issue and say that you're understanding it through your own lens and what was the word you used? Like, learning for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you can learn for yourself. You can look at the unemployment numbers, the GDP. You can look at that stuff. You can just read straight from the source. You can, hear about what abortion is and then come up with your opinion of it. But let's be real. Your opinion of all of these different things are going to be made up from different influences that have been done on you in the past. For example, if you grew up Christian, you're probably more likely to be like against abortion, right? Or if you grew up Catholic, right? And if you grew up, let's say if you grew up like Muslim, you're going to obviously perceive the world in a different way than somebody who grew up in another culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
of course,
I just like to I don't like to, say I have this opinion. This is how I understand the world. This is my take on it. I like to really just have like an open mind and be open to different information that comes my way. That was a lot, and I'm sure you can tell by the way that I speak that I don't truly understand like.
But that's the thing.
But it's such a big concept that like
everything is though.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. That's one of the things that I was trying to like get at. Like we as humans can never fully understand anything.
Exactly.
That's the thing. So like,
hold up. I'm gonna stop you. But
okay.
I'm sorry. Another analogy. I love analogies. Okay. In politics, for example, let's say you want to cut taxes on people, or like let's talk about the tax on tips. Let's say you want to cut tax on tips. At first, you're like, "Oh, that's amazing," and then you think, "Oh, that's going to be lower tax revenue," and then you think about it a little bit more, and then you're like, "Wait, but what if we can use this tax revenue, or what if we can, substitute this tax revenue with tariffs that pay for the expenses and then help the U.S. economy?" And then you think about it more, and you change your mind again, and you think about it more, and there's new information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
But the ultimate thing that I think society needs to do is appeal to something that is higher than us. Like, it's just hard because not everybody believes that we have a creator, which is interesting to me.
Right.
Like where did we come from? Because if we have a creator, then we have a lot more answers than we think we do in that creator, because the creator would have an all-seeing view of what we are and who we are and how we should get along. And because I believe that we have a creator, and I believe that when I pray it works, I believe that I am able to get wisdom from something that is all-knowing. And therefore, I can approach these issues without personally having an understanding, but with having knowledge that was given to me by something higher, because I appealed to something higher and denied myself before him. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay, because like I know I'm getting into like the whole Christianity thing, and like, but that it's important to me at the same time.
Dude, let's talk about it. Yeah.
What is your religious background? Where did you come from? Did you come from a religious family? And what was your, I guess, childhood like growing up from a religious standpoint?
Yeah. So from a religious standpoint, my mom was an anti-theist. Do you know what that is?
Anti-theist?
Correct.
Like she opposed the idea of religion?
Correct. Yeah. So she
Like an atheist, I guess.
basically an atheist, except
But
like atheist
more than that.
more than that. So basically, like an atheist is like, I don't
That's-
believe in this.
Yeah.
An anti-theist is, I don't believe in this, and I believe that religion is detrimental to society.
Wow.
And then agnostic is, I'm sure we both know,
Yeah.
just like you have no opinion, and it might be true, it might not be true, but you don't think it's worth the time to, figure that out, or you did spend the time and you decided that you want to just spend your life living your life regardless of a higher power.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I grew up with my mom being anti-theist, so Christianity was always like, this is going to be ironic, but demonized.
Yeah. Yeah.
Throughout my, like, pretty much like my whole childhood. My dad was pretty neutral and didn't really talk about it at all.
Yeah.
He's now very like Buddhist.
Oh, really?
In his ideas, but he also like, takes from one thing, takes from another thing, and kind of has his own opinion on things
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't really align with a religion.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was a junior in high school, my mom became an Orthodox hardcore Catholic. Like hardcore.
Really?
Hardcore Catholic.
How did that happen?
Long story. She probably doesn't want it to be published on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay.
But anyway, she had an extreme emotional event, physiological event that happened, and she grew up Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And basically reverted back to the faith, and started going to church.
When was this in your childhood?
This was my junior year of high school.
Junior year. Okay.
So it's decently recent, I was probably like 15
Yeah.
at the time. And
That's huge.
yeah, so that was big. And she definitely put a lot of pressure on me to become Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And around that time is when I started getting into philosophy, like Alex Ramosi, Naval Ravikant, different, people who are like modern day philosophers.
Mm-hmm.
And Naval Ravikant is very Eastern religious, like
Buddhism, Hinduism.
Buddhism, Hinduism. That's like his background.
Mm-hmm.
But now I don't think he actually believes in any of that stuff.
Mm.
But he takes a lot of the philosophical aspects of it from it. And then Alex Ramosi is really not like religious at all. More like nihilist.
Oh yeah.
So
Wow.
I never became, I never have been Catholic, but I will say that when I was younger, I definitely, from the influence of my parents, had a negative connotation with religion.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Like I remember like people were like, "Hey, do you want to like go to church with me?" And I would always be like, "No." I would freak out.
Dang, that's sad.
But now, after like seeing, obviously, like I got a lot of pressure from my mom, but I also learned a lot about the faith. I went to church a lot. I went to youth group. Out of force, and I went to. I watched a lot of videos on Catholicism, but also like people that I like. Jordan Peterson, you know who that is?
Yeah.
I like
of
Jordan
course.
Peterson, and
Yeah,
he's a Christian, right? So I listened to some things from him where like he's Christian. So I now have a good association with religion. I don't want to mislead you. I think that religion, if everybody was religious, like the world would be a better place.
Yeah.
If everyone had one religion, I think that the world would be a better place. I think that our current culture takes a lot of influence from the Bible, like a lot.
Yeah.
And I also think that Jesus was a great philosopher. So that's my background. So I know I now have like a good connotation around religion.
There's a lot going on.
But I don't believe in it.
What about have you ever been to a church that's just like a non-denominational Christian church?
Yes.
You have?
It's been
tough.
It's been a little bit.
It's tough because especially in modern society, I don't know what has made people like this, but I recently, I guess, became a Christian, but really became like a follower of Jesus. I don't even like to call myself Christian because I just like to say I'm a follower of Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, it's not even a religion. It's just me following in the footsteps of God and trying to be as much like God as I can, not in like a narcissistic way, but trying to understand God and be in better relationship with him and follow his laws and obey his commands and what he wants, because he knows better than anyone. But what I was going to say is after recently becoming a Christian and starting to go to church more and like interacting with more Christians, I've noticed that a lot of Christians don't want to admit and don't want to reveal at all their dark side. And it's almost like an uncomfortable kind of facade that they put on, because they don't want anybody to see their sinful side or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've noticed that a lot in just like Christian gatherings or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I don't think that's what God would want either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think he would want us to like be open and honest about everything and not, hide certain aspects of ourselves that, we see as sinful or God sees as sinful, or, that we just don't like about ourselves, our dark side, our shadow self, which I think is something that I want to just try to be somebody who is open and honest about every part of myself, so that other people who are not of the faith can understand that that's not what Christianity is in its fullest either. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know. I know God wants us to be honest and not hide things about ourselves to him or the world, which we can't hide anything from him ultimately, but
I think that a lot of people have bad associations with religion.
Definitely.
Because of people that like who you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I think you do a really good job of giving people a good association with religion because you're super friendly, you're an open person, you're not like hiding who you are at all, and you're just like super helpful. Like we work together, right?
Yeah.
You help everybody. It's not like, oh, I have to do this or do that. Like you help everybody. You do favors for people. Like you do a good job of putting that out there. And I never knew you before that, but I'm sure that like you were a nice person. But I mean, you probably have changed since you became religious, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because like just the act of helping people is something that I know God wants me to do. You know what I'm saying? Whether I'm making money off of it or not, that's not the point. The point is to be a disciple of Christ and show people that when we help each other, we're a better collective.
Yeah.
The point is to come together as people and love each other.
Yeah.
It's not about doing work and making money off of that work. Because ultimately, God is going to provide for us all when we put our faith in him. And ultimately, the more people you help, the more money you're going to end up making anyways.
Yeah.
Because when you help people, God is going to provide for you. God is going to say thank you. You know?
Yeah. I think of it in a different lens, but I agree with you. Because I think that if you help people, I think it's in human nature. I mean, the law of reciprocity, that if you help somebody, they're going to want to help you back. And typically, if like from a psychological perspective, people will end up helping you more than you help them. And if people have a good association with you, like you're going to have a good brand that you give off. And yeah, I think that you will be more successful if you help people in business, like business wise.
But
Absolutely.
I think one thing that Jesus wanted us to understand is that it's not transactional either. Like, even though someone is trying to destroy us, we're still going to help them. He says, love your enemy. He says, you've been taught to love your neighbor and hate your enemy, but I tell you to love your enemy, in the Sermon on the Mount. And it's basically like, almost like killing with kindness. You know what I'm saying? Like wherever God is, wherever that joy is, like the hate and the despair, it can't exist. So like when you approach your enemies who don't want to help you, who are actually trying to hurt you, with things that can, because you don't want to help them do something bad, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like just something simple, like somebody like I polished a bunch of silverware, I put my name on it or whatever, and I left it there and I had to go take care of my tables. Well, somebody actually took that silverware and used it to roll, and they claimed it as theirs. You know what I'm saying? Well, it might be on me to polish their silverware and my silverware now and roll my silverware. You see what I'm saying? That act of kindness helps out everybody. Even though that person did something wrong, like I'm going to make up for it. I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm going to do the extra work because that person wasn't able to. And I can actually, by doing that, not even say a word, but set an example for that person in their subconscious mind.
And they'll know.
They
will know.
Yeah.
I agree with you. 100%. And I think this is like true with most things. Like, I think most people agree on most things, and most people do want to be loving, and they do want to help each other, and they want connection, and they want.
But I also think that that is the deepest longing desire. But I also think that a lot of people over that hold a huge grudge against the world and even against God. And they have resentment in their heart and unforgiveness that doesn't allow them to do those helping things, to do those loving things. You know what I'm saying? Like those things that are hardening your heart are keeping you from doing the good things that you actually long to do in the world.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that a lot of religion can be like, and I don't mean to offend you, but
no,
can be like
gonna offend me.
Can be explained evolutionarily, and I think that the logic of like, we're never going to understand anything, so I'm going to put my faith in X, it being like God or Buddha or Allah. I'm going to put like or Muhammad, like I'm going to put my faith in these people because I don't understand. because I can't understand what the meaning of life is. I can't understand why we're here. I can't understand who created us. I can't understand what's going on. So I'm going to attach to this thing that will make me feel better. And this is why I think religion would be a good thing if everybody believed it and everybody believed in the same thing. Because if everybody put their faith in that, we would all be more helpful and loving people, and we would have a better world, etc., etc. From the beginning of time, people have always made religions for things they have not understood. For example, Greek mythology, people didn't understand, oh, what's this lightning? What's this lightning that's happening? And they said, oh, it's this guy in the sky that's throwing lightning bolts down. This is Zeus. So that's just an example of like, we just don't understand yet what the meaning of life is. And maybe we never will, but maybe we will. And maybe we will find it out. And we will like realize that like the reason that like when you do good in life, you get good things back. It's not from God, but it's because like evolutionarily, like if you do good for other people, they're going to do good back for you. And if that happens, then people will flourish. Like, I just think about it more like logically is the wrong word, but without influence of a higher power. And I think that a lot of people attribute things to a higher power when they are just normal things that happen for other reasons.
But you said something interesting that I wanted to point out, and that was that you think that if everybody followed one religion, the world will be a better place.
Mm-hmm.
So what's keeping you from... Is it because there's so many different religions and there's so many different stories? Because here's the thing about Jesus. He was, in his time, the most documented person. Like there's so much written about Jesus in that time, like in and around the time that he lived.
Yeah.
That it's undeniable that he lived and he claimed to be God.
Yeah.
Also, if you have someone like that...
I agree with that, by the way.
Yes. If you have someone like that who was a actual human being, who was claiming to be God, who once walked in the same earth that you now live in, then why wouldn't you look to Jesus to form your philosophical psyche? Why would you look to like these podcasters?
So why do I look for peace and philosophical ideas from
these people,
influencers, right?
Yeah.
Rather than like from Jesus.
Yeah. Because
that's a big question.
You see what I'm saying? Because
no, but the thing for me is it's not like you could say that for everybody. Like you could say, why don't you look to Jesus? But you could also say, why don't you read the Quran? Why don't you read...
Because Jesus walked the earth and claimed to be God.
So did Muhammad.
But it's confirmed from the resurrection that he was. That's the
nuance that I don't believe.
You don't believe in the resurrection?
No, I believe that he was on the cross and he was buried and he then came out a couple days later. I do believe
3 days later.
3 days later. But I don't believe that's justification for being God.
How? Because he died. It was confirmed that he was dead.
Yeah, but that I don't.
They pierced his side.
Yes. Okay. Even if it was confirmed that he died and came back to life 3 days later,
as he said he would.
Why does that mean that he is God? Just because he said it is? Like, what if there's something we don't understand?
How does somebody come back to life and appear to hundreds of people in the following 40 days, saying, I am God? How does that happen?
That's the thing. I don't know, but me not knowing does not give me reason to put my faith in something.
Well, I guess, like, I don't know. I just wonder, like, if this is the story and you believe that Jesus was resurrected from the dead.
I mean, I think if anyone looks at the amount of data that's there, that, like, I mean, I know about the miracle of the sun. I mean, I know these things happen.
And you've seen the Shroud of Turin?
Yes. Like,
how does that happen?
That's the thing, is I know these things happen, right? There's so many weird things that happen that I can't explain. So many.
But
okay. There's a lot of things that are unexplainable. Yes, I agree. The leap that I'm not taking is then
you're not wanting to put your faith in
because of this. The thing that I'm not doing is because this happened. Because this thing that happened that I don't understand happened. I now believe everything else that this guy said was true. And, like, what? So, let's say David Blaine goes and says, like, he's God, and then disappears, dies for 2 days, and then come back. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I'm not going to listen to everything he says and take it as gospel. I know that's an ironic word to use, but I think that if everybody in the right mind would think that Jesus died and or was probably died and did rise after, and miracle of the sun, like, was weird and it did happen. Like, I think that the evidence is there that those things happened. I just don't take the extra step of saying, because that happened, I believe this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Because you're still unsure of, like, of the actual truth. Because you can never know. Is that what you're saying? Because you can never fully know. The thing is, like, we all put our faith in something. We all put our faith in something, whether that's money, whether that's another human, whether that's a shelter, or that's a thing that we do, like making music. It was for me. Like, that thing's gonna make me successful.
Yeah. And I love that thing. And I think everybody has their own thing. And I think that it's good for people to have, like, it's good for most people to have religion as a thing that they, but I'm saying, I wouldn't say, I don't think that people should spend all their time on, like, going to church and dedicating their life to Christ. I don't think that there's different meanings of dedicating your life to Christ, right? Depending on your denomination and what you think. But I think in general that, like, yeah, that's good for some people, and everybody is going to have things that they believe in, right? Things that they, spend their time on, that they love doing, that they see great benefits from. And religion is just not, that's just, I find that in other places, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess the thing that I always come back to when I think about that, though, is that all these things can be taken away from you. Like literally, I mean, I could lose my voice and I wouldn't, or I could lose my arms and I wouldn't be able to be a musician.
Yeah.
Or you know, I could lose my entire family and you know, they all die and I wouldn't have family to draw from anymore for, you know, my, you know, drive to be a good person or to whatever it is. I think it's important, but, you know, there's only so much I can do in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always had a desire to change people for some reason. I've always had a desire to...
You should be in sales.
Yeah, well, I think I am.
Yeah.
But it's always been something for me. But I think there's one universal truth that if we put our faith in that truth, then everything else lines up with it. I don't know. It's hard to have these conversations because it's a lot of thinking. Like, there's a whole rabbit hole that you have to just keep diving down into until you're somewhere where you don't even know where you're at, and you know you can't process anything, and it's hard to, I guess, find where that common ground is sometimes with this specific issue, because we don't know everything as humans. We don't. And because we don't, even Christians believe different things about, you know, their theological beliefs. There's so many different denominations, and I think that, you know, there are some denominations that, even in Christianity, that kind of twist the truth of the Bible and or interpret the Bible in a kind of distorted manner. And, you know, like, but I think that the one most valuable thing that we all do is just to follow Jesus and pray and just continue to read the Bible, no matter how we're interpreting it, and pray before we read the Bible. But I think reading the Bible is something that everyone should do, no matter who you are. Just because of the truth and like the actual conviction that it will bring to your heart about what you're doing wrong in your life, or what you could do better, or what, you know, even if you don't believe in God, what God's character actually is. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is this thing that people put their faith in? Who is this God? Like, even if you don't believe in him, I think it's good that people should at least like understand what he's all about, you know?
Yeah.
And you said that your mom just recently, actually, within the past few years,
Yeah.
after being an anti-theist
Right.
for many, many years, your whole childhood,
Yeah.
she converted back to believing in Jesus.
Correct.
Did she have an encounter with God?
She got to an intense emotional state, and was in a spot where difficult to say without.
It's okay.
She had an intense emotional state, and started praying.
It's powerful. It's really powerful. It's really powerful. I have a prayer closet.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she started praying, and then within the next week, started going to church, and
yeah,
went from there.
The name of Jesus is so powerful, and I can't describe it to people who don't know, but just saying that. Okay, do you believe in the power of the tongue?
What does that mean?
Like, what we speak, it creates our reality, essentially. Like, we speak things into existence. Like, what we say influences what we believe, and what we believe influences the path we take on life.
I understand that in a different order, but...
Well, you say what we believe influences what we think, and what we think influences what we speak. Which is also true in some ways.
I think that...
If we let it.
I think that we are a makeup of our genetics and the influences that have been done on us. Yeah.
So
that's what I believe.
Basically,
but if you want to break it down to what you're saying, I think that once you,
which I believe that is true in some ways. Like we experience something, personally traumatizing, and that affects the rest of our lives. Like your parents' divorce,
right?
Like that's something that has shaped who you are.
Yeah,
undoubtedly, but everything does at the same time. And you also have a constant choice to make the decision of, do I want to, take this as a lesson or dwell in the failure.
Correct. It's
a constant choice that we always have to make.
Yeah, because everybody has something that happens to them. And I think that, yes, you do have the choice to, I mean, for example, like one of my mentors, his brother, so he is a multimillionaire set for life, makes, multi 7 figures a year, paid off house, paid off car, family, 10% body fat, like, has pretty much everything optimized, happy in life, successful. And his twin brother that had the same exact childhood that he did lives in an apartment complex, in and out of jail, in and out of the courts, can't keep a job, overweight. So I do agree that the choices you make, absolutely...
Well, that's a prime example, yeah.
Yeah.
But the power of the tongue. So you do or don't believe that the things that we say influence or manifest in our lives?
It's not that binary, no. I don't believe that if you say something, it will become true.
Sure. Which, yeah, I don't believe that either.
If you pray something, it will become true. But I do think that the way that you should be careful with how you talk, because how you talk will affect what happens in your life, and I do think, I think my answer is no. And maybe we do agree, but we're understanding the words we're communicating differently. Like maybe we do agree, you know. But I don't think it's that binary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think it's completely binary, but I think that what you say it resonates on like a spiritual level, and when you keep repeating the same thing, it influences not only what's inside of you but what's around you, and then it creates this reality. Like if I were to repeatedly speak like there's some things that of course you can't speak into existence. Like if I were to say that's going to be a political nightmare.
Let's do
but
it. Let's
yeah,
say it. Just say
okay. If I were to say I am a girl, I'm never going to be a girl.
No, I didn't think you were going to go there. Okay.
Yeah. But it's just not true. But if I were to say, it's almost like an effect that happens. If I were to repeatedly say I am a girl, then there would be something in me that changes that makes me believe that I am actually a girl.
I agree in that sense.
You see what I'm saying?
I agree in the sense that, like, let's say you have, I think that if you have daily, okay, what you think and believe influences what you say, and what you say influences how you act, and how you act influences how your life turns out. I believe that.
But that would mean that you don't have control over your thoughts, if that's where you're coming from. That would mean your thoughts are controlling you your entire life.
This is a whole can of worms here. Okay.
Because you have control over your thoughts. In most cases, like most of the time, you have control over your thoughts. There are some times where there is intervention from something that is higher than you, or you are so consumed by your thoughts that you're not aware of your thoughts, and you're just living which is most people
Yeah.
live in a spot where they are just completely unaware of what they're thinking at every given.
Yes.
It's like they're bots, like they're just Sims.
Yeah.
And there's something control. That's how I think most people live, which I'm in agreement with you there. But the cool thing is that we have control over our thoughts, that we can think whatever we want to think whenever we want to think it. And that's why I think speaking is very, very powerful, because what's going on in here is affecting everything inside of us. And then when we speak it, it's affecting everything around us. It's literally shaking the molecules in the manner that I am speaking from my tongue. It's shaking all of the molecules in that same manner. Isn't that crazy?
I think
I think literally shaking the world.
Yes. I think I agree. I think we agree. I think we agree mostly. I'll give you one thing, and then we're gonna stop talking about it because it's gonna a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
I think that my life. Let's say there's an all-knowing, right? Let's say
an all-knowing God,
Jesus.
an all-knowing
or God. Let's just say it's God, right?
Jesus.
God. Okay, let's say it's Jesus. Jesus knows exactly how my life is going to turn out. Exactly. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Because I think we are a makeup of our genetics and the influences that are done on us, and those dictate our behavior. I think that's true. So at a very high level, like, is free will a thing? No, I don't think so. But I do think if you think that, and you actively think about, oh, I don't have free will, you're never going to change and your life's going to suck. I think that you should believe you have free will, and I think that we have.
That's so,
I don't think
the way you think is so interesting.
The way free will isn't like, dude, it's such a complex issue.
It is.
Free will, like if I want to go stand up and I want to go play that piano, I can do it. That's free will, right? But I can only do that because of the influences and the genetic makeup of who I am that has influenced me to be right here in this room talking to you right now.
Are. The genetic
Yes.
Okay. Well, the Bible says you are created in the image and likeness of God. And you make your own decisions. And you choose what you want to do, think, how you want to act. And in that sense, like, you have power. God gave us power over the world. That's why we're human. That's what a human is. It's this creation that is different in a spiritual sense from everything else. We have a certain wisdom that nothing else has. Does that resonate with you? Like,
go ahead.
Do you get that?
Yeah.
Do you get that?
I know what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. And I think that we do have more wisdom than anything else on this earth, right? Yeah. Yeah. Like I agree with that part for sure. But yeah, I think that's the one thing is like you take a step further and like attribute it all to this, like all to God, when that's just not what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we agree that like that and this goes back to the thing I was talking about with like genetics and influence and the influences that are done. I want to try to make this clear so you understand like what I mean. So like on a very high level, I don't think we have free will, but
we're tricked into thinking we do. Is that what you're saying? Essentially?
No, I don't. Dude, it's hard to explain because like if I want to, I think we have to define, I think everybody has a different definition of what free will means, you know? Because like here's the thing. I don't think there's a word to describe what I'm trying to communicate. But I think that free will is the closest word that I am trying to communicate, that
you can do what you want when you want.
Yeah. Like I believe that you can do what you want when you want. But I think that you're that way because of this. Because of the genetics, because of the influence. I think you act because of those things. But I think that you have, on an individual level, you have to believe that there is free will, because
we definitely have strengths and weaknesses due to genetics,
right? Yeah,
but how does a gene make you, not just get up and go play the piano right now? Even if you don't know how to play it, you could still like hit the keys. Like how does it not affect you from how does it keep you from getting up and walking out of this door right now and just not saying anything to me? And how does it make you not make these certain decisions? Like what is keeping you from doing that?
Do you think that our genetics have an influence on our behavior?
Definitely, like at a like big like macro level.
See, that's the thing. I think we agree.
No, I don't think we agree.
Okay.
because because I think we are interested in certain things because of where we come from, like from like the humans we come from. But we don't have to pursue those things. You know what I'm saying? We can pursue whatever we feel like we want to. Like, I can come from a line of real estate agents, a line of family members who were real estate agents. You know, the past 10 generations of my family were real estate agents. And I'm going to be one too. I can do that. But I can also be like, no, I'm going to be a musician, actually. No one in my family's ever been a musician, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But you think that, what? Because...
I think that happens because of an influence that has been, like, if you weren't aware that music was a thing. Dude, this is why I didn't want to freaking talk about this. Let's switch the topic. It's such, like, the thing that I hate that I believe this because it's so nuanced and so impractical and so unnecessary.
It's almost like we don't even know what we're talking about. Because we don't.
We don't. No, in
No
reality,
one does.
like, dude, in like 2 years, I could think of a whole different thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's important that, like, you're able to, like, with new information, you can change your mind and you are open to things. And I think that's important.
It's definitely good to have an open mind and an open heart. But yeah, I mean, dude, your mind is brilliant.
Thank you.
It really is. Like, you think a lot and you aren't afraid to, like, just go and do things. And, like, you're a real estate agent, dude. That's crazy. You're 19 years old. And, yeah, dude, I just definitely see you, like, really developing in life, like, becoming somebody who's, like, a good influence on this world. And, you know, I think you're going to be just a great person in general.
Thank you.
So I'm excited to, you know, grow our friendship and continue to just get to know you more, even though I'm moving, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you could come to my wedding if you want to. You want to come to my wedding?
Absolutely, bro.
Dude, it's in Pensacola in October. It's on October 21st.
Send me the day, bro.
Yeah, I'll send you the RSVP.
Yeah.
But, dude,
thank you for the kind words, bro.
Yeah, dude, it's been great talking to you,
Yeah.
and I'm excited for this first podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know what to call it, but I was thinking about calling it Studio Talk. What do you think? Because I'll have it in the studio.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. Studio Talk. Ooh, that's good.
And, like, it's always been a thing for me where before I, like, make a song, I want to, like, get to know somebody and, like, kind of, like, develop that relationship before we start recording music so that the vibe of the music is better. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
If somebody just came in here and, like, tried to record a song and they didn't even know me and, like, what I was about, and, like, they knew of me, but they didn't really know, like, you know, who I was, and, like, I didn't know who they were, then the vibe's just not really there. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, okay, we're recording the music today, and then you pay me, you know, $100 and then you leave. Like,
yeah, it is transactional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not everything is strictly transactional. I want things to go deeper than that. I want things to really move in this world. So, Studio Talk.
Do it.
I think that's what I'll name
Do
it.
it.
All right. Well, yeah, if you made it this far, thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode. This has been Luke Maas, and thanks for listening.